One of the most anticipated coasters debuting in 2019 is at Carowinds. This is a MACK Rides multi-launch coaster. It is the largest single investment Carowinds has ever made. Yes, more so than Fury 325. I know some people were wondering about that. It's my understanding the reasoning for that is because Fury was actually made at Claremont Steel Fabricators, which is in Ohio, aka America. MACK Rides is based in Germany, so they are shipping that track all the way across the ocean, which I'm sure really starts to add up. It was pretty cool. We actually got to go and check out the Carowinds track while we were at the MACK Rides factory earlier this summer. So it was cool to see it while I was in pieces, knowing that one day I would ride it when it was completed. But anyways, let's kind of get into this. For those of you that haven't been to Carowinds, this ride is located on the plot of land that was kind of made up by a couple different things. You have part of it that was occupied by Thunder Road. That was inevitably taken out and replaced with Carolina Harbor, at least part of the land. Part of it was left open, which Copperhead Strike will now occupy, but they also removed one of their boat rides, as well as a little mini golf area that they had. So all of this makes up this big old plot of land in between County Fair and Carolina Harbor. So that is where they're plopping down this coaster. It is actually quite a good location for a new ride. It'll really help balance out the park, because of their three biggest rides, they're all located in different sections, and this one is also located far enough away from the two that it'll provide a nice even balance, help distribute crowds a bit more. Few things to note: this is the first ever double launch coaster Carowinds has ever received. It's currently their only launch coaster. At one point in time they did have a launch coaster, but now a launch coaster has returned to the park. Of course, it is a sit down looping coaster. In my opinion, that's exactly what the park needed. They needed a launch coaster that went upside down. It was one of the gaps in their lineup, so I think it's fantastic that they are filling a hole in their lineup, because right now, outside of the big three, there was a pretty major drop off in what the next big ride was. So this is really helping solidify their lineup. And it's definitely a thrill coaster. You got 2 launches, 5 inversions, over 3,000 feet of track. The actual launches themselves are not that fast. The first one is 0 to 42 miles per hour in 2.5 seconds. So that's about 20 miles per hour per second. Second launch is 35 to 50 in 2 seconds. So that's gaining about 15 miles an hour in 2 seconds. That's pretty close to what Time Traveler gained. And now that I've ridden more coasters from MACK Rides, including Helix, Icon, Blue Fire, the one thing I've really noticed is that these are not particularly forceful launches. So I would not expect to feel a whole lot on the 2 launches for Copperhead Strike. That being said, the second launch is by far the most unique, because you are also going over an airtime hill while accelerating. That is going to be pretty cool. I'm really not sure what to expect from that, because we haven't exactly seen something like that before. So for me, that was the most surprising element of this ride. But we also got some pretty cool elements on this thing. As soon as you roll out of the station, you're going into a JoJo roll. If you've ridden Helix, this is something that ride does. Or for most people in America, you've probably ridden Hydra at Dorney Park. That's famous for that element. So this goes straight into your first inversion before you even hit the first launch, and you actually enter this barn, or I guess it's basically a shed. We know Cedar Fair loves their sheds, and so you are sitting there among the theming, and then you accelerate out at 42 miles per hour. Just to put that in perspective, Cedar Creek Mine Ride also goes 42 miles per hour, so just something to keep in mind. You go straight into a vertical loop. Following that vertical loop, you're going to go straight into an airtime hill. This is going to be some nice ejector air. My favorite parts of Helix were the airtime hills. The ejector airtime was really good, so I have a lot of high hopes with that element. Then we have a corkscrew, few twists and turns. That's going to send you into the second launch, the one we talked about that's a little wonky. And actually, right after that acceleration, you pop up into another ejector airtime hill, and that flips you into an inverted top hat. These are great. Really fun element. I imagine you'll get some cool hang time off of that. And the animation, it slows down significantly. And this coaster does have a lap bar, so you will be hanging. But I'm also skeptical that it will actually hang you that long. Like in the animation, it looks like it would valley any second. So I don't know about that. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But then it takes you into another vertical loop. And something I'd like to point out with these vertical loops, take a look at just how circular they are. These are like Schwarzkopf style inversions. Most vertical loops follow an oval or teardrop shape. These are really circular, aka it's stretched out, meaning you're going to feel a bit more force with it. At least I certainly hope so. Like I said, MACK Rides coasters tend to not be super forceful, so we'll have to wait and see. But after that vertical loop, you go into lots of twists and turns. If you've ridden Icon, basically after that vertical loop, that's all that Copperhead Strike is doing. Lots of I-305 or Maverick turns, and that is going to take you up into the brake run. Total ride time is 2 minutes and 24 seconds. I do think it'll be a nice long ride. They have quite a lot packed in here. And just look at this overhead view. You can really see how compact this thing is. They had a wide open plot of land, but they're choosing to keep it compact. Maybe that's so that they could pack in more of a ride. Not really sure, but I think the fact that it's compact will work in its favor. If there's any downside to that, I think the reason that the top speed is only 50 miles per hour is because the ride is going to be super compact. But to put that in perspective, Icon at Blackpool Pleasure Beach has a top speed of 53 miles per hour, so about the same speed. Helix at Leesburg has a top speed of 62 miles per hour, and that is the same top speed as Blue Fire as well. This will be most similar to Time Traveler, which has a top speed of 50 miles per hour as well. So final thoughts, I think this will be a nice addition to Carowinds. I'm really curious to see the response to this coaster when it opens. I think the enthusiasts may not be as crazy about it, but I do think that the general public will really enjoy it. So after all this is said and done, it will be interesting to me if Cedar Fair will decide to install more of these, or if they'll go back to B&M or RMC, who knows. But it is nice that they're shaking things up a bit and installing one of these MACK Rides launch coasters in America when really we don't have any. I don't really count Time Traveler or Manta because it's a family coaster and Time Traveler because it's a spinning coaster. This is their standard launch coaster that is found mostly in Europe, and we're finally getting one in America. So overall, I do put my stamp of approval on Copperhead Strike. I am looking forward to riding it. I think if there's any part of this ride that people really should be skeptical about, if anything, it should be the theme. I guess Copperhead Strike is themed to like people trying to steal Aunt Granny's jam, but a copperhead comes out and like attacks you or something. And they're really vague about the jam because they're talking about how there's like a secret ingredient, but they never tell you what it is. And I'm like, so is it like weed or is she putting drugs in this? I really just want to know hashtag what's in the jam. Who knows, maybe it'll be a forceful launch, but only time will tell. So I want to hear from you guys what you think of Copperhead Strike coming to Carowinds in 2019. Be sure to post all your thoughts down in the comments below. And of course, stay tuned for more analyses coming soon to Coaster Studios. Thank you for watching.